Oh, I love seeing this here from JDG. LvMao saying, you know what? Yes, we banned away the Alistar, so we're going to go with far more harass than safety. It is going to be interesting. We have seen some pretty terrible tempered fates coming out from some other supports in the tournament. So I want to see that the man, the myth, the legend on this Bard, who had so many highlight plays from the 2020 summer season on this Bard, come into it. Last pick is going to be the Kennen going into the Sett. Pretty decent counter pick as well. If you can get those flanks, that could spell disaster for, if you look at this JDG comp, a comp that doesn't really have any kind of escapes outside of their flashes.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for Temper Fate to land on anyone else outside of the Orianna, but the pick potential is absolutely wild here, and I do want to running Kiana with the Weaver's Wall.
Yes,
so they did it cross map, and they got 4 sections of terrain with it, just with one Kiana. It's really fun how you got some like wall interaction people. Vayne, Kiana, obviously Bard. It's very cool to see the different combinations you can pull off with that, and see how creative these teams can be in those high pressure situations. Because as well, it's all well and good of saying all this stuff, but you gotta be smart enough and also cool and calm and collected enough to be able to pull it off. As we can see, that is a very square little piece of sky off to the left hand side, but onto the rift. JDG stacking a little bit towards this bot side with Kanavi, LvMao and LokeN. There is, however, a ward just popped down there by Missing, so they know exactly what's going on. They have a pretty decent idea of who's going where, and they should be able to counteract it, no problems whatsoever. Fairly standard runes. The only thing to mention here is probably Zoom going for fleet footwork. It does give you that 1 second 20% move speed, and that coupled with his Q, which I believe is 30%, does allow you to catch up to the Kennen. And we've actually seen this matchup go pretty damn well for the Sett. It's really about when you use your ultimate, you're unstoppable, you can cancel out the stun marks that Kennen can put on you, and you can deal a bunch of damage that way.
Someone very angry outside your house there, Clement, honking their horn. Not very cool of them, but overall, Team WE, they're going to see the kind of power farming from the Olaf. Should see a pretty standard kind of full clear from him. Maybe look for something a little bit aggressive should anyone be overextended. Shouldn't expect to see anyone overextended, though. It is JDG after all. They tend to let Kanavi just farm up and see how they take those mid-game fights, if the first game is to be anything to take from it. But I wanted to actually talk to you about this acquisition of xiye over Jgl, because this is something that wasn't really kind of foretold, I suppose. Where do you see kind of xiye fitting into this team, and why do you think they decided to go with him over someone like Jgl, who again has not been bad for JDG?
The interesting thing is that the two of them have actually played very similar champions during Worlds. They focused on the Galio and the Twisted Fate, so they both have this strain where they're more support focused. I would say the real difference is Jgl really provides your team with a lot of weird picks. Like, if he pulls something out, he's playing it extremely well. He's Yasuo, Kiana, that sort of stuff. Whereas xiye, I think he's more standard in terms of the meta reads that he comes out with. You can expect him to play the full range of champions that are available. He's going to play them to a decent degree. He's always had a reputation for finding great openings in team fights, and that's kind of the give and take. Probably a little bit more team fight dynamics going on with xiye, but a little bit more pocket pick and spice coming out for Jgl.
Yep, the spice there as Kanavi finds himself just behind Shanks. Shanks forced to use a summoner there, so now he has to be extra careful. We might see an engage coming into this bot side. LvMao gets jumped on top of, exhaust forced out of him. There was an Olaf popping down, but not really going to amount into anything else, just the exhaust expended. But Kanavi is here. They may just try and look for a little bit of an advantage there. Yep, Deadly Flourish was coming. Missing forced a flash. So overall, as I said, that Jiumeng trying to get himself his passive off. LvMao is there. The Magical Journey was available to him, but he decided the better of it. And a TP going into the mid lane from xiye. Everyone backs away. Team WE, though, still have the slight advantage in this bot side as Kanavi might be a little bit short. Oh, Hex Flash used to full its extent as LokeN now forced a flash away as well. He is completely out of this fight. The Magical Journey gives LvMao safe, but that is Summoner's Burn. 2 flashes for 1 effectively overall in this end of bottom lane trade. That's such a long trade as well. They just could have kept hovering.
Yeah, what really happened there is now beishang is almost 2 levels ahead of Kanavi. They got the scuttle for him. He cleared his bot side perfectly. While in the meantime, we really did see Kanavi just go for a little bit more pressure. LokeN no flash.
No flash on LokeN. The Xenoblade does not hit. They should be able to pick him up. No bother whatsoever. Nice tanking as well from the WE bot side. They do have to expend the heal, though, just at the end. LvMao gonna force himself over. They will get Jiumeng to force that one out. And while that was all happening, mid lane ended up falling down to xiye. Orianna is dead, but 2 for 1 overall in favor of Team WE.
Yep, there was a gank that happened there, I believe, and in the bottom lane, that's a huge win for WE incoming. That was a double stack minion wave going into the tower. LokeN's going to lose all of that. Kanavi is going to have to play catch up in his jungle position as well. And it's not a great start for JD Gaming because they are playing the more catch-oriented team. They do want to get things going a little bit early. And that was that was an oopsie from Shanks.
Well, this is just a very, very honest lesson in solo queue of TP to the tower. There's no need for you to TP to the minion wave. You're going to be just as fast. You literally get a movement speed buff as you're coming off. Just go to the tower, back up, and then you get far more advantages over there because as soon as you start teleporting on top of middle of the lane, it just becomes a lot longer, and there's not really a lot you can do to counterplay that. So good catch there by JDG and xiye and Kanavi. Definitely looking a lot stronger into this early game than the bot lane of JDG, but WE need to try and find more advantages now with this bot side. LvMao on this Bard, it was a risky pick, and it's showing out the kind of the power you get with someone like a hard engaged Leona versus someone like a more pick orientated pick like Bard.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult for most of the I would say range supports to kind of contest on these scuttles. A lot of times the tank supports incoming, these engage supports, they're front loaded on their cooldowns. They're going in and bursting people down in one rotation. It's a bit harder for someone like LvMao to get things done.
Here we go again, Missing. Taking a bit of a chunk here. This is the advantage, though, if you do not hit that Zenith Blade. You do not have that hard engage, but LokeN is kind of being forced into pushing this wave all the way in. Kanavi is just going to stick around as well, just in case they haven't got full vision or ideas to say that, though. Shanks being jumped on into this mid lane. xiye has ult. He has flash as well. There are 2 other members of WE here, though. They will force xiye back a little bit. Shanks kind of struggling in this matchup right now. We said, yes, it is a bit of a counter pick into the Orianna, but definitely struggling a little bit more than we expected.
With that early kill, definitely is going to be the case. Down to flash, not hit level 6 just yet. So we are going to see xiye still continuing to pressure with this pick. And we've talked about Syndra a lot in this meta. You can't really put her in a side lane. You have to constantly be pressuring with this, and she doesn't scale as well into the later phases of the game. So hopefully xiye can ride this advantage enough to where their pick composition can kind of work out. And just talking about the interactions here, JD Gaming do have a lot of pick potential, but in the team fights they can also have a lot of counter engage potential if W are running into them, which does seem to be the case because W don't actually have a lot of range. They have the counter engage from xiye. LvMao is going to have an easy tempered fate if that's the case, and Kanavi can also push someone back. So it's a very interesting dynamic how this team fight plays out, and I do sort of favor the way JD Gaming can handle these things. They have the range advantage, they have the counter engage advantage, so all they just need to do is just stick onto the objectives first.
Yeah, like you said, there's the side of JDG wants Team WE to be running into them, which is exactly what Team WE want to be doing. If you think about it, you have an Olaf, a Kennen, a Kai'Sa. These are very kind of in-your-face, jump in on top of you champions. It kind of just makes sense. That's exactly what you'd want to do. But in this early game, it is Team WE. They're going to be picking up that first Infernal Drake that will lead into an Ocean Drake. So we're guaranteed either a mountain or an ocean, an air Drake. It wasn't an ocean, but we were guaranteed an ocean or a mountain Drake as they're trying to trade that off. It's a 5v2 as of right now. Good double stun. And look at the single target CC locked down. Missing had not got a chance. WE, you just can't contest that. That seemed a very, very unnecessary play.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't worthwhile. They could have had their bot lane taking tower plates in that scenario, and instead they went in where, like we were talking about, JD Gaming just have so much single target pick, and they have a lot of disengage as well. So if they're on an objective first, you can't really dislodge them from that location. You almost need to play with the minion wave and maybe find flanks with Kennen or something like that to get yourself an opening into teamfights.
Very, very unnecessary risk there, as you said. Could have been taking plates, could have given themselves a hell of a lot more kind of advantages towards that bot side, but in the end, they end up giving over a kill. So JDG will say thank you very much. We'll take that with all the earnest and zealous as you would possibly expect from a team giving away a 300 gold. I'd take 300 gold in real life, like, no problem. How would you even quantify that? How would you even quantify that?
I wonder how much they're worth. Like,
that's my point.
300
like,
gold is about the same value as 10 bitcoins or something.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
It's Bitcoin, a weird world we're living in.
It's a very strange. Do you know what's even stranger as we're talking about the monetary value of different things? Diamonds can be manufactured, and they're not that expensive. They just advertise. You're advertised to know that they're very expensive. Isn't that weird?
I bought my wife a diamond ring. I wear a Tuscan one because it's far cheaper and it's more durable. Because you know what? When I'm casting the LPL, I'm slamming my fist into the desk way too often. I'm like, no, why did you do that? That was a terrible play.
You need a wedding ring that's like durable enough to withstand the frustrations
that you
experience.
I broke my platinum ring before. It was not a fun
really.
experience. Yeah.
How did you do that?
Well, you're watching a Vici versus OMG game, you know, things don't make sense, and you're kind of frustrated, and there's like steals happening across the map. You're just like, oh god, I can't take this. What are you guys doing?
You just frustratedly broke it.
yeah. Happens, you know. Tuscan's the way to go.
It apparently is, ladies and gentlemen. You not only just get some amazing LPL action on this this cast, but you also get some fantastic wedding advice from our resident love guru in Clement Chu, the only member of the LPL squad casting team that is currently married to my knowledge.
I saw Doiby do it and I was like, I need that buff, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you're following the marriage buff, man. That's big brain. That's smart plays right there. But while we were diverging very much so onto a crazy tangent of different wedding rings and diamonds, it was JDG who were able to pop down the mid lane or take the mid lane turret plate just to drop down the Rift Herald, and they have got themselves back onto kind of regular terms, or kind of even terms, not regular terms, with WE. It's only about a 500 gold lead for Team WE. We're probably not going to see a fight until that next dragon spawns. But xiye, I got to admit, xiye has been pretty on point with these scatter of the week. So that's something that I really want to see kind of pop off and come to fruition in those team fights later on.
Definitely has been the case, and I do want to point out his build. This is something a little bit rare that we see in Syndra's. He's actually going for the scaling build with the Seraph's Embrace coming online later on. It doesn't give you the shield anymore. Oh, perfect pick. Wow,
massively,
the stun into the Tempered Fate.
That is why we absolutely adore LvMao on this pick. This guy is the king of Tempered Fates, and that was, chef's kiss, c'est magnifique.
Yeah, that was so good. I didn't understand that French whatsoever, but I think I get the gist of that. That was actually xiye starting up with the initial stun. It's 1300 range on the Scatter of the Week, so very easy to catch a champion like Orianna that has no dashes off guard, and just followed up with the pick. Just so clean. So clean. And this is, again, more advantages. Unfortunately for the side of JDG, it was a little early, so they can't really transition it into a dragon pickup, so they will have Shanks with Flash Up available for this next, what we can only assume will be a team fight. Does equal out the gold a little bit. And Shanks he's getting bullied right now, I feel. I feel like xiye and Kanavi are just perfectly coursing him into kind of, really bad positions, burning his flash almost on cooldown every single time. And it's kind of the first kind of welcome to the LPL, I suppose, from JDG to Shanks. These are the caliber of mid laners you got to go up against. You got xiye, you Gao in the back pocket, Knight, Rookie. There's so many massive, massive players that this is only the tip of the iceberg. Well said, well said. But now we can see if Shanks can hold one of these flanks for the team as both teleports come in.
Ooh, beautiful combination of CC, and Missing's able to get out with his life. xiye just gets caught. Xenoblade into the Solar Flare, into the Shotgun Jiumeng on the Kai'Sa. Really nicely done, and now it's a 4v5 in favor of Team WE. They're going to restart this Drake again. They should be able to take it. No problems whatsoever. LvMao, oh, not quite fast enough, not able to get into the magical journey, and he is going to be looking at a very gray screen. 2 kills, a dragon, Team WE, very, very nicely done.
I love the way WE played that one. That was a very clean setup. They had the ambush waiting from that death brush. You can see typically the red side does have an advantage if the blue side team is coming in from mid lane. So they ward that up really well. They had the early teleport coming in from Breathe, and they beat off JD Gaming before they can actually set their front line. If JD Gaming have all of their tools available, they're facing one direction, it's very easy for them to disengage from this or maybe focus down Jiumeng, but they don't allow that to happen. They strike early. Perfect setup from their side.
Yeah, beishang going to smite that one away. Kanavi, though, needs to be a little careful. Nice little happy feet here. Yeah, does need to back himself away. Is going to force his flash out. The bot lane turret to go down, but Breathe is there to pick up another very easy kill. Kanavi just not really reading the map state right there and realizing he was very alone and very much dead now.
Yeah, that was a bit of a head scratcher. As a Taliyah, you're almost never looking at the Olaf for fights because Olaf can just ignore your CC and walk you down.
Yep. Doesn't have any dashes, so your W is not really that useful against him. Your knockback isn't that great. There's just a lot you can do. So that was just honestly just a bit of a mistake here coming out. Probably the first one I can really kind of think about coming out here from Kanavi. To see beishang thinking about going for a steal of his own, but decides to back away. Just took the Rift Herald, so going to move towards the top side. And Team WE, they're slowly but surely kind of just pushing back JDG. JDG are the first ones to pick up the turrets, but they are still behind a little bit in gold and definitely behind in neutral objectives.
And W has just been playing these dragon fights much better. I think overall they still coordinate with their bot lane the best when we're talking about beishang and Missing. That's going to be after the disintegration of Sword Art and SOFM. They're looking like they might be the best jungle support duo coming into LPL 2021.
And I'm getting quietly excited here for Team WE. This is a team that, like we said, didn't have a bad 2020 year, but definitely was on a rebuild, and we've talked about it many times on multiple different casts of how they said they've got a structure, they've got a setup. They're not going to spend endless amounts of money coming into big name brand players. They're going to try and develop the development team and try and build them up from there, and it's kind of working out for them. They're building on kind of adding Breed / Curse onto the top side. You're bringing in beishang, Shanks, and Zoom might be in a little bit of trouble as he tries to jump in. Does try and get himself out with the ultimate and the flash, but here is Missing. Plenty of CC here for them. It's actually the Leona that picks up that kill. A little unfortunate there about that, but a great pickoff for Team WE. And JDG, they're losing a little bit of composure here. They haven't really done anything, and they've just been giving away kills.
Yeah, that was a gank that JDG wanted to throw at the top side. Instantly spotted out by a ward, and W converge on the bottom to pick up the kill. Now likely going to get this tower as well. Bot lane is also completely open, so JD Gaming really over-rotated for that one. Was spotted out, and perfect reaction from WE. They take 2 lanes down.
Yep, perfect reactions. Definitely an overstep here, and xiye feels like he's being smart and clever right now as he's picking up the balls, but there is a little cheeky ward on the red buff, so there's no one going to be able to see caught out on the side of Team WE. The standing gold of those 2 towers will equate to about a 1,500 gold lead now for the side of Team WE over JDG, and we're just kind of waiting for the next big team fight. Big items being picked up as well. The big 1-item spikes for a lot of players. We could see a pretty momentum-shifting fight coming up in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Now, WE has further extended their lead. They're going to have a lot more map pressure, the most map pressure they've had in any of these Drake fights now that they've gotten the 2 towers in the bot side down. And we're talking about JDG's comp, how they're very good at counter engage, how they're very good at picks from long range. But the problem with this comp is they don't clear terrain very easily. Their only tanky member is Sett, and he's the only one that can take a beating here. So moving across W-held territory is going to be extremely difficult, and they also have to have perfect clears around these brushes because, the wave situation is going to be in W's favor, and they have to watch out for that breathe flank as well. So this is a much more difficult setup, the hardest one that JD Gaming has had so far. But it does look like they're still going to get in first just because of the backs from WE's side.
Wow, okay. Kanavi, without his flash, was just kind of stuck inside the Dragon Pit, and he has to back away with the Reaver's Wall, and that means that they can't really aggress on top of this. Full control at the moment going over to the side of Team WE, and JDG, they're just afraid. They know they're weaker right now. They know they don't have the 5v5. They have to back away, and we are at sole point now for Team WE.
Very early on as well. So I do want to talk about JD Gaming and the way that they've been playing Demacia Cup. It's a very interesting concept, and it really utilizes the idea of the Juggernaut. Basically what a Juggernaut is, it's a champion that in teamfights is kind of lackluster because it has to run into you. However, if you have ranged carries that outrange the opponent, you can have the enemy team run into you instead, and the Juggernauts are going to have massive effect that way. So this has been the composition that JD Gaming has been running throughout this entire tournament, and we're also seeing the pros of it and the cons of it. The pros of it is Zoom is having great games, he's absolutely destroying, but the cons of it is this comp has never really been prime time in competitive, because most teams, if they have the better setup, they don't need to run into you. Even if you have the more longer range carries, if you're not setting up siege, they can just opt out of the fight.
Yep, as we see missing the Zenith Blade, jumps straight in on top of the Syndra, and she is deleted. That flash, you know, Shield of Daybreak is just so powerful if you're able to catch on top of people. Kanavi does end up backing away, but this is kind of the thing we're seeing consistently in this game, is that it's not really team fights deciding what's happening or what objectives are going down. It's that one pick, it's that small little mistake that's coming out and really screwing over JDG on multiple occasions.
Yeah, now JD Gaming has lost most of the map control. They're really going towards this pick-oriented composition. However, a lot of the times, they're not factoring the possibility for members like Jiumeng to just fly in and even out the numbers. So they actually had like local number advantage on that pick there, but with Jiumeng coming in from the mid lane and the snipe potential, it just wasn't enough to equalize the situation. And I really see JD Gaming having an incredibly difficult time now venturing out onto the map and finding those plays. I think essentially what they're banking on is a massive Tempered Fate, giving them multiple members on WE's side and hopefully comboing in that with the Taliyah and the Sett burst.
A quick look at what they want to try to do. Like you said, it was a 4v2 at the start of this, but even missing his own Zenith Blade, just flashes in, locks him down. There's nothing that xiye can do. He doesn't have cleanse, he doesn't have QSS, there's nowhere he can go.
Very easy pickup on their side, and we're going to see this happen multiple times for JD Gaming's side, because if they don't have Sett in the equation, anyone on their team is extremely vulnerable to this burst damage coming in. We also see the Collector done already onto Jiumeng, so going to take down targets even faster.
I think it's 2 item spike. There is 2 items as well, as we see Breathe with the Hex Tech, Rocket Belt, and the Zhonya's Hourglass, able to get himself further ahead and keep himself safe in these potential team fights. But like I said, we've been hyping up the team fights from both sides, but because of those picks, they haven't really happened. There's a really strong Tempered Fate onto beishang. They will get a huge amount of damage down on Missing, and he will fall. There is the flank coming in, though. Exhaust immediately down onto the Kennen, and Jiumeng jumped in, seeing if he could get the damage down. This is the team fight. This is the problem you have on beishang, as he's just trying to back himself away. If you are jumped on, if you can't jump back onto JDG, you will just fall. Team WE running for the hills.
Very good find there by JD Gaming. They find the Tempered Fate in, but it's not over yet. Breathe actually gets a return kill, and that might dissuade the Baron from going down just now. It's pretty healthy still with his TP up.
I was going to say, Breathe, he's just backing away, but they haven't got a jungler now on the side of JDG. So overall, ends up being a 4-for-1 in favor of JDG. Brings them back in line in terms of the gold, but they need to find that fight again in less than a minute's time for that dragon that's popping up.
Let's see how this one actually starts, because I don't think W should be giving JD Gaming any chances there. Their Orianna was just spotted top lane pushing the wave, so they don't have a numbers advantage. Jiumeng actually steps a little bit out of line. beishang gets caught up here, and they find the initial kill quite easily as Sett comes in with the Stride Breaker. Great exhaust coming in onto Breathe. Basically protects LokeN from any damage, and they just turn the fight fairly easy. I just feel like W could have been a little bit more patient there. They had the Baron side vision, and Orianna was still in rotation, so it was kind of an opportunity given over to JD Gaming, which JD Gaming will pounce on.
Yeah, that's you see double TPs here for JDG as they find themselves on the backside. TP has to be used here by Breathe. Hasn't got a flash this time around, but has got himself a heal. Good damage, good poke from JDG, and they have to fight for this dragon. You can't let them have this Mountain Soul. It would be just too much, health bar effectively to try and burn through.
I love what JD Gaming are doing here. They're starting it preemptively and just goading W to run into them.
Here we go. It's taken by JDG. The fight might be coming in. 3-man Solar Flare on the backside is actually huge. But a massive Tempered Fate means that this fight is all JDG. But as I say that, though, Breathe jumps in on top of everybody. They have got the kiting coming in from LokeN. We talked about how good he was in that previous game on this Jhin. It ends up being a 3-for-3 trade. Overall, Team WE do not get the soul, but they do get themselves some more kill. And this game is becoming more and more even the longer it goes.
That Cosmic Binding was disgusting from LvMao. I thought LokeN was 100% dead, but he tags Jiumeng and Breathe at the same time, saves his AD carry, and they're able to make the exit. That was definitely some very, very good mechanical play from Bard, and you definitely expect that from LvMao. Excuse me. First off, Kanavi wins the smite fight here. They find the perfect Tempered Fate into the showstopper combo. Breathe looks like he's about to turn the entire fight. And watch this, as Jiumeng flies in, they actually do find the stun. Oh, excuse me. It was xiye that found the stun there on Breathe and Jiumeng at the same time, salvaging the fight. I thought that was going to be a wipe on WE's part.
Yeah, it almost was. And you can see the power that this Kennen has now on 3 items, or 3.5. And just feeling so much stronger when the exhaust is not up. There's so much damage that comes out of this little rat, this little ninja rat that can just come in at any kind of angle, and you're all grouped up together like that. It's very difficult for you to try and do anything about it. But again, 26 minutes into this game, it's pretty much dead even in terms of the gold. But JDG, they're the ones that have to fight at every single dragon. They need to start stacking these back up. And even if you give it away, as long as you have 3 Mountain Drakes in the back pocket, it's not that big of a deal, but they definitely need to make sure they don't just get one.
And I wonder if WE have thought about this, but they could win with Jiumeng just flying in with the Orianna ball. Like, the backline of JD Gaming is very, very brittle. It's very susceptible to just one-shot combos entirely. So that could be some play that we're looking at. Just put the ball into Jiumeng, make him the guided homing missile. And even though, like, using your AD carry for sacrificial purposes is kind of weird, it's worked pretty well for WE in the past, you know?
Yeah, completely agree. Like you said in many a different cast, when we talk about Team WE, as I say that, Breathe forced to flash away, so that is a Tempered Fate for a flash of your top laner. That's actually pretty huge as well for the side of JDG. Feel like
very good Ragnarok.
Yeah, very, very good Ragnarok, and keeping themselves alive overall. And again, these are very big cooldowns that are being burned here by Team WE. JDG, they're starting to feel their comp kind of come back into its own now as they're on even footing. They have a unholy amount of wards and wards set up with all the zombie wards and trinkets. So they have full vision of that exact corner of the map. And Team WE, they need to be very, very careful of how they approach this.
This is the play that we're talking about. The dynamics of the team fight is if JDG have the terrain and are on site first, then it's very difficult for W to approach them. However, W could potentially still get them over the ramp by using that Jiumeng combo we're talking about. A very risky proposition, but I do wonder if they've considered it.
You can only imagine what comms are going through. Both teams very much an equal footing. It's, as we said, it's about who makes the better play rather than who makes the mistake, and it's very awesome to kind of see how both these teams are playing. You've got the Dead Man's Plate now finished up for Zoom up in the top side. Collector and the Gale Force for LokeN, so he's building up rather nicely. It's overall just pretty even across the board as I'm looking onto it. It's about who catches what, but I will say that Jiumeng with that Phantom Dancer alongside his QSS, he's going to be very, very difficult just to kill, let alone lock down completely.
Yeah, just a note about Phantom Dancer, it doesn't give you the shield anymore. It just gives you extra attack speed.
Lets you move through the minions, though.
Yes,
Yes.
that too. I'm not sure, but I think the extra attack speed from items should count towards getting supercharged as well. So that might be the reason we're seeing it in the build.
Pretty sure it does. And as Dragon now about a minute away, or a little less, JDG have got themselves some Dragon control, but then WWE say that's fine. WE got to go straight for this Baron. They should be able to burn this one pretty quickly as well. You've got a Kai'Sa. Now they know it's going down. Breathe and Missing. They're the ones playing keep away. Baron down to about 4,000 HP. They've got the Reaver's Wall coming in as well. LokeN gets a little loving nudge, but now LokeN's in a little bit of trouble. Gale forced to use to back himself away. There's the curtain call coming down. It's a 5v5 coming in. There's the Shanks trying to get as much as he can. It's stolen by the Sett, and it's Zoom who takes it all. They are going to be able to get the slicing maelstrom off. Kanavi will fall, but they're now being pushed into this. There's so many low health bars on every single member. It's JDG who feel like they're the ones who have to back away. Jhin is dead. That was the Syndra. It's going to be Orianna, and Shanks, after being bullied for so much in this early game, will eventually fall, but not before putting down the damage. They get the Baron, but they lose so many members. It's Team WE that end up getting the real advantages.
Yeah, Team W lost Baron, but they will take the main prize, which is going to be the Mountain Soul here. We already see beishang on the objective. And that was such a crazy fight right there. Sett going in 1v4 with the showstopper and still managing to get 2 on the way out was pretty crazy on Zoom's part. However, W were pretty far behind, and with the chase down kills that unfortunately happened right there, it's still going to be pretty sizable advantage to WE, like you were saying.
LvMao can delay this if he wants to, but I think he's just being an absolute nuisance, yeah. Well, he could delay it because he had got the Tempered Fate, is what I meant. He could just chuck it out to try and give it an extra few seconds. But then I realized that a lot of his teammates weren't even around there. But let's have a look at how close this goes for the smite.
Yeah, I think the important thing here is how was WE able to preserve so much of their HP to still continue the chase over here. So we do see Breathe in a very 56. Good position. He's just cutting off a lot of the members from JD Gaming from actually entering or exiting the pit. So that's the main damage that we see here. And LokeN at the initial start of the fight was already chunked very, very low. So even though they do get Baron, they instantly lose 4 Baron buffs right off of that. And of course the Mountain Drake. The Mountain Soul does go over to WE as well.
Yeah, so Team WE, honestly, despite losing that fight, will come out with losing the Baron, will come out with the fight and winning the majority of advantages overall. And I want to call out LokeN a little bit. He flashed in, think he could get that last empowered auto, or the 4th shot, I should say, onto Shanks. Shanks just a little bit out of range, and that meant he was just left in no man's land. Saw him take a huge amount of damage. You can see the damage there dealt in that last fight. Not really the kind of damage graph you want to be seeing coming out from xiye or LokeN. They just never really got set up to do the damage. And again, WE, they're the ones with the advantages. They're the ones that are kind of feeling the stronger of the two teams. And I feel like this Kennen pick, this Kennen last pick, is really paying dividends.
Oh, it's definitely wrecking JD Gaming. The best situations for Kennen is if you see the enemy team having double immobile backline carries. He's just great in those situations. Sealed Spellbook, especially for those team fights. Most of the times, whenever it's up, you're going to see Ghost and Flash being used just to run in and get the kills onto the likes of xiye and LokeN. So I agree with you. That pick is absolutely massive. And I do want to touch on the teamfight dynamics once again. Basically, both of these teams are rushing to be the first team on the objective. JD Gaming are very good at pushing away WE, and W are very good at running into you. So both of these teams are looking to jostle for position, and it's really about who can find those picks to get them into position, or who can control the minion waves to get them in the better spot. And so far, I think both of them, you have to give the advantage to WE.
Team WE, obviously they would like to win this game, set us to 1-1 and give themselves a best of 3 guaranteed, but you feel like momentum-wise, they would definitely be feeling a hell of a lot worse if they do not come out with the win here, being a little bit further ahead. The gold has always been very, very close. So in terms of item discrepancy, it's pretty much been negligible between the both squads. So, like, you know, definitely the gold distributed differently, but not that big of a difference. And overall, I feel like Team WE, with the advantages they have with the with the items they've accrued and the team comp they've built, it's definitely looking like they're the ones that should be able to come out of this. However, no one from JDG should be giving them an opportunity to, you know, kind of catch them out, and it should wait until either the next Baron or Dragon spawns, and that's when we're going to see our big and potentially final 5v5 fight.
Yeah, and I would say the later the game goes, just because of the itemization, it's going to be harder for JD Gaming to actually pull out of the team fight ahead. JD Gaming are really relying on, like, one burst combos to kill single targets off very quickly. However, the stopwatches are coming out, the Banshee's Veil is done, the Zhonya's is already there. They don't have very good, consistent DPS on the side of JD Gaming. They're much more about just bursting one target down, and WE are reading that. They're itemizing against this perfectly, and it's going to get to that phase where it's going to be where you can't even push them away anymore. They're just going to keep on running at you, and whenever they're low, they're just going to pop a Zhonya's or something to get out of it. It's going to be very, very difficult moving forward.
A minute till Baron. Summoners across the board will be available for absolutely everybody. Almost full build for the Sett, almost full build for the Kennen. 5 items or 4.5 items for xiye as well as Orianna. Well, she's almost there. She's probably just going to finish off 1 or 2 things very, very shortly. But again, this is the big fight. Full items available for Jiumeng. He's got that GA, so see how Shanks does. As that Banshee's Veil, so definitely not at risk of being jumped and CC'd with that extra little bit of a shield they have to burn through. So JDG just keeping Team WE honest, making sure that they're not getting away with any kind of cheeky recalls or cheeky pushes, and this is starting to feel tense. You can see that both teams respecting the damage the others have.
It's just so difficult for JD Gaming to find the picks that they once had. Oh,
whoa!
Kanavi gets flashed on.
Gets flashed on, but then Kanavi just backs away. That is going to be the Ragnarok down now, potentially, for this fight. Kennen sitting in the base, wants to try and go for the TP. Missing, does land the Solar Flare. The TP's coming in. Xenoblade does go down. They're trying to drag him back in top of the team. The shotgun from Jiumeng pops on top of this. They will get a beautiful Tempered Fate, though, that will completely negate the slicing Maelstrom. Oh. Shockwave does land down on the Zoom, though. Kanavi is playing 2v1 with xiye, just like a 2v versus 1.5. It is all WE, though, is the ones that can just keep running at you. Like you said, becomes harder and harder to push them away, and that is going to be 3 quick kills for JDG, or sorry, 2 quick kills for JDG as they turn it back into a Baron.
Jiumeng took almost no damage, just face-taking xiye's ultimate completely, and was continuing the chase down. He was able to just ignore that. He's got the Mountain Soul, and also just all the extra resistances from the Iron Locket of the Iron Solari coming in from Leona too. So you can see the pick potential is now firmly into WE's side. They've done the damage test. They know that Jiumeng can fly in and not really suffer any casualties whatsoever.
You gotta go for the Zoom. You gotta try something, but they're just not in time. Baron into Elder. They will have almost identical timings on both buffs. They're going to go back, spend a little bit of gold, run up towards these side lanes, and really start to look to put the final crosses on this particular game.
Yep, and the start of this fight looked pretty bad for W, actually. Missing going in, being dragged in, but just look at Jiumeng. He takes so much damage from the Syndra, and he doesn't feel any of it. The shield comes down. They can't really even burst him through the Mountain Soul. And if that's going to be the case, then your comp doesn't work anymore. Pushing back Jiumeng doesn't do anything when he doesn't take damage.
You can see here with a comp that just wants to run at you, Team WE going to run it down the mid lane in a nice sense, not in a negative sense. As they try
sorry, I just like I fumbled so hard right there because it's actually just the turbo chem tank there, so there's no shielding actually coming from the support. No consecrate needed whatsoever. He can just face tank it. Oh, that's
just
that's
jump
disgusting.
In. Yep, it's a little unfortunate, but the wave in mid lane being pushed in favor of Team WE is actually pretty much negative everywhere else. The Tempered Fate misses completely, and Zoom, your carry, has to flash over the base gates, and that's going to force JDG to back themselves away. They have to be so careful for another minute and a bit while this Elder Drake and Baron are still available. There is the curtain call doing practically nothing through that Mountain Soul shield. The rest of Team WE, they're just trying to find themselves, get themselves in position, keep that Baroned up cannon minion. They've got plenty of time. Missing gonna go back and pick up that minion wave, get it nice and quick into that mid lane turret, but there is a good separator. Not really going to do much though overall, as the Weaver's Wall will now eventually fall. And Team WE just slowly but surely whittling away at these Nexus turrets. JDG, you have to choose your final stand. You have to go for your fight. It looks like they've chosen it here. There's one Nexus turret down. The Redemption coming in as well. Zoom has to go back to base. They still don't have the damage. There's just nothing there. Two-man Shockwave means the Kanavi is down. He is deleted. There's still a cannon minion. There's still 10 seconds left of this Baron buff as they try and jump straight in on Zoom. And Zoom is just trying so desperately. Nothing he can do. It's going to be another kill. Missing on very little HP, will not care. The Nexus towers are gone. Team WE just paying back the favors of JDG in the first game, and that is going to be a 1-1 in this best of 5.
And damn, is this new WE really taking it to the champs?
Yeah, I completely agree. And you can see there, you know, JDG taking a little bit of a lead, losing it, gaining it, losing it. It was very much toing and froing. Very close game. And overall, it just felt, like you said, like Team WE, the shot calling was solid, their team coordination was always there. They never really felt like they were 100% totally out of control of the game, and 40 minutes dead on the clock, you know, it was just a good